Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Mornings with the Focus. We got Justin with us this morning once again. He's outside enjoying the nice weather. I am inside enjoying the AC. I do not wish to be outside. It's been hot out here. I know yesterday, you had some great topics for us. Enjoy having that discussion. Know you got some more today. I guess one we'll start with is the title of today's episode is pretty much our one back system's dead. Are we done with that in the NFL? Running back conversation, the discourse about that position has been interesting over the past couple of years, where people just find a way to devalue it, even though most good teams place value in it. That said, just a reminder, if this is your first time tuning in, hit the comment section, join the conversation. We want to hear what you guys think. You're free to steer the conversation as well. Again, just hit the comment section, and Justin and I will happily respond. All right, Justin, so you had the topic. Are the one-back systems done? I would say they are, but not for the reason that I think some would. For me, I think it's just most because of durability. More so than anything else, honestly, But, also all teams don't value the position or the run game the same in this league anymore anyways.
Right. Yeah. It's like you said, it's not the basic reason of, okay, if you give them certain carries, they're going to get hurt, this and that. But I think it's more like, you don't really have that. There's not a lot of that. There's not a big gap between a lot of the guys. And then there's not a ton of guys who can do everything. But when you have a guy, teams that do, they'll run their offense through that certain player, and I think again it comes to the offensive coordinator or the way the team's built, the way the team's built. So I think you get guys like Henry, or even what's funny, I think about like in the Super Bowl where the biggest down in the game, Mixon wasn't in the game. That's one of those things where I think the two-back system's kind of being overthought. But then you have those guys like McCaffrey, Mixon, and they do a little bit of everything. But, I think if you can get the right combination, of a power guy and a speed guy, and, I think it's not really a plan. I think it's just a thing they go with. You feel your way out. And I think a lot of these coaches are adjusting so it's game by game. Certain teams, this guy's a better fit for that. This guy's a better fit for that game. And again, with so much passing, you don't have the big bruiser back anymore as much, So I don't know. That's just my thought on it.
It also feels like, honestly, like if you look across the league, right, we see this big burst at the receiver position. Feels like some of the dudes who would be playing in the backfield are ending up out there. True. Honestly, we keep thinking. I'm not talking about any one person or anything, but just thinking about it. Like, there's a lot of wide receivers when you think about their frames, how they play after the catch, what have you. In different times, I think their career path doesn't take them out of the backfield. I think now on the offensive end they end up at wide receiver, and I think some of them end up at linebacker.
Right.
So I think that's some of it too with the way the game's changing. But I think what you said was great too. It's one of those things where some teams don't appreciate it until you need it. And then even then, a lot of people it's kind of like again, it's kind of like with basketball and like the mid-range game. A lot of people talk about it, and then you found out that you need it. It's a skill and it's important. However, how many people truly commit to it being a part of their game? Right. And I think that sometimes that, like, the commitment is one thing to be like, hey, we run the ball here. That's cool, but do you run the ball? Those days when you're getting 1.5, 2.5 yards a carry, you still gonna tote that thing 30 times? Or you gonna throw it in the trash, go 5 wide, and throw it 40 times to your detriment? So I think that's a lot of it too, honestly, man. Appreciate you, Sid. Good morning to you.
Right.
But yeah, man,
I already regretting being out here.
Oh man, I think it's interesting. And then the other thing is sometimes, like, the other thing is true too. Like you said, it's hard to get the one back that can do everything. So sometimes some of the teams that commit to like really commit to the running, it's almost best to get several guys
Right, right.
that can do a lot of the same things, and maybe what they specialize in specifically different than the others, but there's a bunch that they do similarly. But again, everybody does commit to it.
Right. But also, man, I think it's become a space game. You know,
Yep.
they prefer. I mean, honestly, one of the worst positions in the league is offensive line. You know, so
Yep.
you're not just taking one system and running a power game, or I think a lot of these teams, they don't really fit the system to the players. You know, it's just like, this is my system, you're going to run it. So whereas like Tennessee has a certain style that they run with Henry. And then last year was the first time they actually had a backing him up that was just like him, similar to him with Foreman. You know what I mean? Where most of the time you're playing Henry and then you're running the same plays with a smaller guy. And I think a lot of these teams are going that route as opposed to, then you have the San Francisco way, who has found success with 6th rounders, 7th rounders, undrafted free agents, first, second round. Like, so I think it's just depending on who the offensive coordinator is and how well the system is, that's how you'll get some of these better backs. And then again, a lot of guys that have failed or struggled have been the top 5 picks, top 10 picks. And now the team are kind of gun shy about that. I hate to say Dallas is, I'm not saying Elliott's not a bad running back, but they're kind of stuck with him where they have him there and they've overpaid him, and we don't know what's going on with Barkley. Maybe this time, again, having an offense that fits Barkley, we'll be able to see more of them. You have guys like Chubb who went in the 2nd round. And even him, as funny as good as Chubb is, he's sharing carries. I just think teams are kind of trying to preserve some of these guys also. That plays a big part in it also.
Yeah, like you said, for guys like Chubb, where you are in a good situation where they do believe in actually running the ball, man, they're trying to get you to the playoffs. So what's your worth, so then they can ride you when it's time, because that's kind of like where the worth is. But again, that goes to a whole different discussion about the 17 games, how unhealthy it is for these guys and everything else. But again, just the commitment to it, like you said, and I hate to be going at play callers or what have you, but you get the cop out for some play callers or some folks where it's like, oh, it's a space game, you can't do that stuff. Meanwhile, other play callers, they're taking even more advantage of it being a space game and going, well, this old school stuff that we used to do, man, they kind of lighten behind these days up front. Full steam ahead. Like, we'll create the space. Like, now there's more space where there wasn't before because of it being a quote-unquote space game. So, it's just interesting to see how different play callers will have you attack this era of space or what have you. What do you guys make of the Jets running core? Will Brees get a nod for the 70-30, 80-20 workloads? Look, man, anywhere when they run, to me personally, and I live there with Justin says, any team that runs like that McVay, Shanny type stuff, it's a committee. Okay, who's there? It's a committee. It's just how good your committee is, like what the talent level of your committee is. You got the top end where it's Chubb Hunt. You got Jones Dillon. What are we talking about here? We're talking about Brees. What do you got? Brees, Carter, and there's another cat. Tevin's still there. Like, I just think it's by committee for those guys because of the diversity of their run games. At least that's just me, but what say you, Justin? You're on mute, sir.
I would think it's probably like a 60-30-10. You know what I mean? Like, because they're not. Again, Carter brings a skill set to the table, and Hall's still going to be learning the game also. And again, with that system, you might even see them together sometimes. I think that's the thing with those type of players where they actually have similar skill sets, but Hall has more power. And then they always have fall in love with the third back. I forgot who they have, but they're going to mix in carries. They're not that kind of team where they're just going to, and with there being more of a passing team, they're not going to be that type of team where they're just going to, just pound you with the running game and have this one guy and have you get nicked up. I think that's just their point. I think that's the way they're going to attack.
Yep. All right. So, what's next on the list of topics you got, man?
What do we have? We had the lie of the short yardage back.
Oh.
Just you get. I think one thing for me is just how often we say, hey, when you get to the goal line, you got to give it to the 240 pounder. And a lot of these 240-pound guys take so long to get up to head of steam. You know, there was a time, I remember when it was, you know, touchdown Tommy or the certain guys were the touchdown stealer guys who you get near the goal line and you'd have finish the season with 30 carries, 14 touchdowns.
Right.
We're not there anymore. You know, sometimes you think about it. Why the 49ers give the ball to Debo on certain yardage? You know, you get those running backs that can twist and they're not easy targets to hit, and they fall. You know, they fall forward. But when you get the guys that take a while to build up that steam, and you know, you got a big target so you can cut their legs out. Like I've watched games where I've seen Henry struggle at the goal line, and Tannehill be the one to get in. You know,
Yep.
so I just think it's become it's a myth now at this point. You know, you'll have guys like AJ Dillon. You know, he's different. You know, but even then, Aaron Jones isn't bad near the goal line either. I mean, AJ Dillon's different because he has the big legs and he's a shorter guy who can kind of, you know, is built a certain kind of way. But not everyone. The main thing is just getting ahead of steam and getting downhill, which it isn't a big guy thing. You know, that's what I admit that.
I think the other thing is what we were just talking about with the space, playing in space nowadays, right? The goal line is the one time when it's kind of like old school.
Right.
Nowadays, that's the one time where you get the nasty fronts where there's no space in between people and everything else. And sometimes, like honestly, it's like, and I give some play callers credit. Why make it difficult, right? Get it to the guys with the burst in the vision.
Right.
You on the goal line. And like you said, the guys with the burst vision and can fall forward. I don't care what package you come in, what position you play. The goal is to get over the line, right? Hey, man, get it done how you got to get done.
Right.
But again, I think just like that's one of the few times, like obviously short, like super obvious short yard situations. But even then, in today's game, it's different in the middle of the field than on the goal line because in the middle field, man, you throw a bubble that could go to the crib on third or fourth and one. You know, down in the goal line is a little different. Space, you know, there's only so much space to work with, and then, you know, you're asking teams who, like you say, kind of went away, like we were talking about, kind of went away from that style of football, so all of a sudden be good at it again.
Right.
You don't practice it. Like again, how many teams have a fullback?
True. Yeah. Think about how many times you watch and they get down to the goal line, teams moving the ball easily, and then they get down to the 3-yard line and can't put it in. I just watched the Packers do it. You know, certain good teams that are good offenses.
Yep.
They get down to the goal line, all of a sudden they don't know what to call. Fades and sweeps. You're at the half-inch line throwing a sweep. You know, just tells you how the league's kind of evolved in a bad way. We're caught up to them, you know.
Yeah, and I think it's something like even it still happens like in basketball sometimes. Like you hear people talk about, oh well, you know, in today's game with the space and everything else, you know, your bigs don't have to post up. Look, man, all that sounds well and good, man. At some point, you're gonna need somebody. When you have somebody who's able to cook down there, it changes stuff. It gives you a huge advantage, whether y'all like it or not. You can throw it down there, it comes back out. Those 3-pointers are even easier. Some things don't go out of style. I don't care how much stuff changes. You still have to be able to do some of those things. Running the ball is one of those things, especially in short yardage situations. So yeah, you don't want to have fullbacks. Cool, I get you. Then your running back room, but have somebody who's about that life in those situations. Mm-hmm. Or if you don't have somebody, you better have your Tyreek, a Debo, one of them dudes who in short, like, you know, in those tight situations, it's advantage you over and over and over. This question also, with Chris Carson retiring, is it finally penny time, or will Walker overtake him? I think they knew Chris Carson was retiring the entire time and weren't trying to let anybody know before the draft so they can go get the guy they wanted to get. That's what I believe. I think Penny will get like maybe a little bit of a head start in training camp, but y'all know what time it is, man. It's Kenneth Walker season.
Like, yeah, I think they seem to like Penny, but again, it's the fear of him constantly being hurt. So I don't think they want to go all in on it. I think they'll start off with a maybe 60-40 Penny, and then as time goes on, I think Walker takes the job. If Penny gets hurt like he normally does, it'll happen faster. But I think, of course, you don't pick a guy that early without that plan, especially when you're a younger team, or you know where the Seahawks are. I think,
for sure.
And they run a lot anyway, so it's not like.
Well, and the other thing is they're trying to get back to who they were. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to like full on lean into what they used to be. So yeah, man, it's Kenneth Walker season. Do we think Ronald Jones will get that goal line role?
I do. I
Okay.
think. Well, Ronald Jones has a way of, it's like one of them things where when you sign a guy like that, it has to click. You know what I mean? It's not like he's gonna have a ton of time to prove himself because they're not invested in him heavily. So it's like if it clicks early, he could take off. If it doesn't, they're just because the guys they have aren't bad. Like McKinnon finished the season very well last year. They still invested in Hilaire. And again, his role might change now with Tyreek being gone and little adjustments in the offense. But I think there was stuff I seen about Ronald Jones, little flashes that I liked about him. And I just think he didn't click with Brady and Arians. So he kind of got put in that doghouse every year. So I think it's a second round talent that I think, given the opportunity, you might see something from him.
And the other thing is let's think about where he was, right? Tom comes over there. Let's be real. The way Tom's quarterbacks, running games don't have to be what they are for everybody else. That man goes about his. How many times have we seen him? Whether it's in New England or where he's at now. With Tom, you can almost manufacture a running game with his short passing to a large degree. So I wouldn't even take it as an indictment on Ronald Jones. Like I think playing running back for a team that Tom Brady quarterbacks is insanely tough, anyways. And ideally, you'd want your guy to do what Lenny can do. Go forward, knock people over. For when we, every once in a while, when we just talk about, show y'all the situation, man. Go be big. If there's a hole or not a hole, make a hole. All right, let's go back to doing what we're doing.
Right. I think also, Kansas City always seems to have like that random Darrell Williams.
Yeah.
The other kid, the guy that went to, I forgot the other running back they had that always found a way to be on the field at important times. It was like, didn't even know he was on the team until the playoffs came, and now all of a sudden he's getting big carries. I wish I remember the name, but it was always a Darrell Williams, a guy like that type of back. So I think the other guys are still going to do what they do, and then Jones will handle the other stuff.
Agreed. What's the other thing you said? I think we got something where assessing rookie usage. What positions were you talking about it or referencing that?
One of them I really thought about was running back, receiver also. I mean, it goes for everything, but I just thought of how, every year we look at a draft and we're like, okay, now this, like Rachaad White on the Bucks, he's going to take over. Or this guy's going to take over. And it's like, not every team does that,
Yeah.
Like, you've seen what, again, I hate to always go to San Francisco, but you see what they do. You know what I mean? You see they'll take a guy and play him who's later drafted. But some of these other teams, you get a team like Tampa, they drafted the running back last year who didn't play. Was it Keyshawn Vaughn? He barely played. Now they drafted this guy. So, like, the excitement of, hey, they took this guy in the second or third round. Not everybody does that. Like, not everybody's quick to put a guy on the field. It sounds good, but there's guys sitting on the bench because we don't play young receivers yet. If we don't trust you, we don't play you. And then there's teams that are quick to put a guy in. And I think we don't take that into account sometimes when we get excited about players, which we always do because they're new.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, like you said, because they're new, right? But I think right now in the league, it's easier for wide receivers to come in and get up to speed and hit the ground running than it is for running backs right now, honestly. I just think it's way easier. You're able to translate a little bit more with the type of schemes and what you're being asked to do, honestly. A lot of coordinators can figure out, like you said, it's a space game. They can figure out ways to get you the ball, man. It doesn't have, it's not the only where you have to come in and check those boxes. Like, you better be able to separate. You better be able to create space. You better be, man, some of these coordinators, hey, let's get the ball in your hand. I'll scheme you open. Just be special. Once you get it. Like, we're not even worried about how to get it to you. I get paid. I got that. What I need you to do, make something shake once you get it. That's all I ask of you. So that's why I think for receivers, it's not as big of a climb or big of an issue to get going. You was asking about Leonard Lacy. Hey, look, man, that's what he looked like right now, man. I think he was out here just being extra. Yeah. So Lenny decided I'm just gonna be fat until camp starts. So, which is always fun.
He'll be all right.
Yeah, I don't think any of them was worried. Just one of them times when people got stuff to talk about, especially with some guys like that. It's kind of like some of that weight, not even be funny. Like, yeah, big man. Some of it's just water weight, and some of it's just like you know when you're gonna lose it. They play in Tampa. That boy knows what's gonna come off his body and what's not.
Right.
He's probably like in his mind. He's probably like, I gotta be like within 20, within 20 or 30 pounds of my target weight. You know, I get to camp. I'm probably gonna lose 15 before camp. I'm gonna lose 15 in the first 2 weeks of camp. By week 1, you know, playoff Lenny.
How many carries he gonna get in the preseason anyway? Like he ain't preseason don't matter. Practices he's getting probably half the reps if that. So yeah, again, he knows he has an idea what he's doing.
Yeah, I wasn't ever worried about it. I just thought it was funny. Everybody was making a big deal about it. I was like, bro, he has one of the most secure jobs in the league. Because again, how hard it is to play running back with Tom Brady. Like, think about what you're not exactly like relied on, but when they need you, you better do your job.
Right.
You know, and what is it? Rashad White's behind him.
Yeah.
Right down there. So yeah, and not even be funny. I think like. That's I think being behind Lenny could be good for Rashad, right? Also, you got insurance. Like Rashad White, I don't know how many people paid attention to him in college or what have you, but I think a lot of us like the fit. Of those of us that watched him, definitely like the fit there.
Right.
Rookie usage, all right. Oh, you of course you wanted to just take something that was highly volatile and Russ versus Dak. Why did you start this, sir?
I don't know. I was thinking. I was just like, but the difference between one game, meaning Russ has shown the ability to be clutch and make certain plays, and not saying Dak had obviously playing for different teams, but it's just like the measuring them. Okay, for one game, who would you take? And for 3 games, 3 years, for the next 3 years, who do you take? And again, the thing with Dak, I've been thinking about it a lot actually, is just I think what happened with him was he's a playmaker, a gamer, and I think with the injuries and the Jones trying to make him safer, like not wanting him to run as much, but that's part of his game. Not even so much running, but creating plays. I think some of that got taken away, after the injury and Jerry saying we don't want him to run. And I've seen plays where he normally early on he was ducking his head and but that's who he is. You know what I mean? I think that feeds into his game, and I think when you take that away and try to make him into a 100% pocket, and he can win from the pocket. I'm not saying he can't, not that guy, but when you're trying to make him into something he's not, it limits him, I think. And for that offense, which is a basic offense, sometimes you need him to create a play. And I think that's the step back that I think we're watching him and just like something don't look right. There was a point when he was looking like he was ready to take off, and now it's just middling. Like it's there, and it's like, okay, we're playing this bad team, everything's working, it looks great. Now we're playing a little better team, or it's a situation. Not even so much the team, it's the defense, like certain things, and the play calling has never done him any favors. And it's, now you lost another weapon. Like with the weapons they had, they couldn't get him the ball properly. But now all of a sudden, you're expecting something different. And again, Russ is used to what he does. Russ has his style. Russ is going to create. Russ is going to, but no matter what offense you put him in, hopefully he might be a little better at certain things, but he's still Russ. You know what I mean? When it comes to playmaking, he's going to create a play. There's 2 or 3 plays out there every game that he's going to find. And that's where I think it's interesting because they're 2 different types of players.
See, I think I'm probably on the other. I don't even think I'm on the other side of it. I think they're actually like really, really similar. I think due to whatever their situations and circumstances have been thus far in their careers in the pros, one person has been given the freedom, maybe too much freedom, to create, right? The other, like you said, post-injury, they've almost neutered that ability to him and their team's detriment. And credit to him for still being able to be that good, right, taking away a part of his game, right? And then, like, again, like the stuff with Russ, we're kind of questioning, the only questions with Russ is like, could you do the Dak stuff enough whereas can you sit in the pocket, be on time, make stuff shake, do what you're supposed to do? We know you can play make with the best of them. And I think what we saw before the injury was we saw Dak ascending like, okay, we know what he does. He could be on time, play within the system. Then you got the added bonus. I can throw my cape on, get in my bag and create something. Gets hurt, comes back, and it's sit in the pocket, win from the pocket. Everything's in the pocket. And he's still productive. But if you're going to ask him to do that, and maybe this is the theme of the year for me, I'm coming back to your middle behind play caller. If you're going to tell him he can't create, but them schemes need to get better. Plays need to be better. You can't have it both ways for me. If you're going to tell me I can't fix your play or extend your play or take a trash play and give it life, you need to get better at what it is that you're doing. And then I'll sit here, I do the greatest Tom Brady impression in the world, but the play calling needs to be right. And we know the play calling is not right. And that's the thing with Russ. Like, I'm not too worried about him being able to stay on schedule, whatever, now that he's out of that place he was. But he still has to prove it to everybody else. You know what I'm saying? But, again, so I think it's similar. It's just, it's opposite in terms of, like, the freedom they were given. No matter what we say about Seattle, how much we dislike the play calling at times throughout his tenure there, nobody ever told him he couldn't create.
Right.
Maybe they gave him too much freedom and he took, like, that's a whole different discussion, but they've never taken that from him. And I think Dallas did themselves a huge disservice when you took that away from him. And then, you know, not to tie it in, I wish I had this quote verbatim. Kyle was talking about this yesterday, talking about Trey, and he was like, yeah, obviously, you know, you want your play to work or whatever it is, right? And he was like, yeah, you could be like, hey, you missed that. But if you move the chains, I'm going to get over it pretty freaking quick. The object is to move the chains. And Dallas took that away from that man. Why?
Right.
So, I mean, so for that, I might have to take Russ. But if we're taking them out their situations and just openly, I'd probably ride with Dak because I was like, there's a thing that you do for sure I know that you do that, like, man, I'm excited about. Like, that's why we're excited about before you got hurt. Like, yeah, get him away from Kellen for sure. For sure.
Right.
Current situations, yeah, man, give me OG, triple OG Russ.
Right.
But yeah, I think. Go ahead.
I think just the situations that they're in played a part also. Figured Seattle's defense usually kept it close. So, I mean, Russ didn't have to. Most of Dallas' losses were shootouts, So he could be having a pretty good game, but that play calling and something would always catch up to him. Whereas Seattle was, they find a way to win 2019 or 24-20 or whatever. The defense was good. Early on, they had a running game. And, I mean, they've always kind of had a little bit of running game. But I think it was even though the offensive coordinator of Seattle wasn't doing a great job with the passing game, it was other parts of that team. The coaching was obviously more sound, which Dallas never really has.
No, for sure. And like you said, that's the one thing he was able to rely on for a chunk of his career. The first part of his career in Seattle was what was it? Not we, but they were a ball control team. Like, hey, run the ball, play defense, be special every now and then, and we're good. We need 2 or 3 big plays from you a game. The defense is going to take care of the rest. Then they fumbled keeping their defense together, what have you, and then you can't play that way. And it's like they never adjusted to playing without the defense they got rid of because you failed to build it back up. You still haven't. Like, it's one thing if you were like, all right, we're going to play this way no matter what, but you lost the LOB and you retooled the defense within 2 years. Like, you were right back to being top-tier defense. You're still waiting on that, so you can't play like that. And then you never adjusted to, well, let's lead with our offense.
Mm-hmm.
Versus, like you said, in Dallas is, sometimes the defense does stuff, sometimes they don't. And also, like, in shootouts, I don't care who the play caller is, man. You're not going to call perfect plays for 4 quarters.
Right.
I think that's just reality, right? I think that's fair. So, what else you got?
We got the new playoff teams. Teams from last year that didn't make the playoffs that you think will make it.
Oh, wow. I want to hear your thoughts on that first. I got to think. That didn't make the playoffs. Okay.
I mean, I feel like it's a cheat code to just say Baltimore and Miami, but I think Miami's that team in the AFC. In the NFC, I'll take a bigger swing and say somebody like the Lions. They're a team that really interests me. I mean, I had a lot of thoughts about them, but I just like if somehow, I'm not saying it's gonna happen, if Hutchinson could be 3/4 of what Bosa was for 49ers his rookie year, because it's a similarly built team, physical team on both lines. They got a ton of depth on the D line. They don't have the star power on the defensive line, but they got a lot of young players, a lot of talented young players. They're physical. They have the talent at receiver. And again, like everyone's big on having a star quarterback, but Goff's solid. Goff's solid, and he's been to the Super Bowl. And again, 49ers. I'm sorry, the Lions aren't going to depend on Goff like that. That's the difference. It's not going to be Goff's team. It's just making the throws that when it's time to make a throw. You got Jameson Williams when he comes back to stretch the field. You got Chark. You got St. Brown. You got a good tight end. You got Swift. You got so there's a ton of talent. The offensive line's really good. One of the better offensive lines in the league. The defensive line is deep. They drafted some players. If you get a Okudah to step up next to or Warrior, that secondary can be serious. So they're on the rise. Maybe they're another year away, but the NFC is obviously not as good as the AFC anyway. But I think they're a team that's on the rise, maybe a year or two away. And then like you said, AFC, Miami's interesting, Chargers interesting, Baltimore's interesting. Like those teams could all win the division. Maybe not some. Yeah, all three could possibly win the division. I'm trying to think of a lesser, like an extra surprise team. But I don't know. I would just say Miami.
Okay. In the AFC, I got one I'll take a big swing with, and I'm cool with that. And y'all can fry me later in the year if it doesn't work. I'm not gonna care. I promise you. The Texans can make the playoffs. Like I wouldn't yeah, I'd be okay with it. They were boringly solid last year without direction and talent. I like what they got. Like the type of talent they added to that secondary, man. Like if Stingley's what he's supposed to be, if he's as advertised, that goes a long way, man. They're dealing with some of these wide receivers on that side of the league. That goes a long way. And he doesn't have to win every week, but if he's able to consistently battle, it gives you a heck of a chance. And also, I know nobody paid attention to the quarterback in Houston last year. Dude's not bad. He should get better. I thought he was fine last year. I think they could possibly, like you said, teams that didn't make it. I'm trying to think outside of hey, everyone fell off the end of the earth. People are healthy this year. They should make it. So, Sid had Chargers, Vikings, Colts. I don't know about the Vikings, man. I just don't trust them no matter what goes on in life. That's just me. The Colts for sure. Matt Ryan should provide some much needed stability to that clown show that they had on offense last year, because they had everything except an adult under center. And I'm not knocking Carson. I'm just talking about someone who's been there and can manage a game. And they can also make a couple plays here and there, but like an adult in that manner. Like, no one thinks Matt Ryan is a top 10.
He's not going to move to get crazy.
Yeah, and if he has to win it, it's not out the realm of possibility that he could go win it for you. You know what I'm saying? But you're not going to ask him to do it every week because of what you've built around him, what have you. Obviously, the Ravens, what have you. The Broncos, if they got this stuff together, Russ should go make some noise out there. Because again, but it's cool watching Russ from afar until you have to deal with them on a regular basis. I hope that division's ready for it. Like, easy to be like, oh man, he's older. All right, man, there's something about that dude that if they just stay in games, you lost. And y'all will find that out in the AFC. Beat them, be up by 2 scores late in games, you'll be fine. It's one possession games. That's your problem. You put yourself in that situation. Justin would say, that's one of them dudes where if you give an opportunity, he's going to try. Like, he's going to do it. So I think them in the NFC, I think the Saints is an easy one because they would have made it last year if everyone didn't get hurt, right? I think that's fair. Outside of that, I don't have another NFC. When you said the Lions, that might be fun. Possibly. What do you think about the Panthers? Playoffs, no?
They actually have a talented roster. They actually have a good roster. But they have a talented roster. Again, I don't Just want to see it all get put together. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not a Baker guy, but again, McCaffrey's healthy and they get the receivers going. And the Terrace Marshall steps up. Next to DJ Moore, those guys. You know, off with the rookie lineman's good. Like this, I don't think it's possible in the right division. Same thing I said with the Lions. We said with the Lions, Vikings, those type of teams. Is they're in the right division because there's one team. You know, there's one team in that division, and the conference isn't loaded at all.
Yeah, I guess that's the only reason why, like again, I think all y'all know how I feel about Baker, but like you're out of the AFC. It was a great time to leave the AFC. I'll say that. And then the division you went to, you got more than a chance, man. Look, you got a fair chance. You handle business, you have a fair chance. I think that was mostly everything for real.
I got one.
Uh-oh.
Last, if depending on what
Hold on, it broke up a little bit, Justin, so I didn't hear you.
I said depending on the length of suspension, it'd be St. Brown.
Man, that's a loaded roster, man. Yeah, I just need to see the suspension. I just need to see how long the suspension is, and that's why I didn't say him, because I just need to know if it's more than 8 games. No, they're not making the playoffs. If it's 4 or 6, yeah, they're a playoff team.
Right.
Yeah, they're a playoff team. But I think 8 might be too much for asking Jacoby. Shit, and it might not. I don't know. That is a loaded team, man. It's a loaded team. They got a lot of stuff over there. A lot of proven stuff over there. Like, I don't know. That's a good one, actually. It's a real good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
Right.
All right, hold on. I think it broke up a little bit again, Justin. What'd you say? You might have to come out and come back in. Says anywhere from 2 to 200 games. Yeah, man, I don't know. Like that's the thing. I have no idea. I've seen some stuff where they were saying 4 or 6, which is crazy when you think about what why the reason is why he's being suspended compared to what other folks have done, because you would think that women should be held in a higher regard in terms of that stuff that he's being accused of. Also, just from a league standpoint, what it looks like if he only gets 4 games, ridiculous. But it's another story for another day, I guess. Say it again, Justin, because we still can't hear you. Do you think we're going to see Texans? Lee Watson, he hasn't played in a while, expectations too high. I think the cool thing because of where he's going, I don't think he has to be that. I don't think he has to be Superman there, honestly. What's up, Jesse? You back? Okay. There's a question by Sid. Do we think we're going to see Texas, Deshaun Watson, hasn't played in a while, expectations too high? I was saying I don't think he has to be that off the break at all for them because of how much better that roster is than any time he played in Houston. You got Nick Chubb to rely on. You got Amari Cooper. Lord, he has Amari Cooper. You got Njoku. Chubb and Hunt. That scheme, Stefanski running that offshoot of that McVay Shanahan type game. So I don't think he's gonna have to be Superman at all. I think he could gradually work his way up to being the old Watson, but I think that's a button you can press in case of emergency, which is why I think for football reasons only, a lot of folks why folks are high on them, because you took somebody with that skill set. We've seen him drag teams to places, have far inferior rosters in games they have no business being in, and now we're just asking you in like what's typically around the league, like one of the most QB friendly systems ever. Hey, can you just be productive? Yeah, I think he could be productive.
No, I agree with that. It's just like you said, the team's talented. They can run the ball. They can do a lot of other things. But It's just make a play when we need a play, make a play. That's what it's cutting it down to. Whereas opposed to before, it was like make a play at all costs, but just drag all of us there. Again, having his Cooper is going to be the same as he had Hopkins. His go-to guy when need be. But they have other weapons on that team. The tight ends got paid. The running backs are ridiculous. The offensive line is good. Defense is talented. Beyond, they probably go 12 deep on 12 to 15 and deep on defense. So there's talent everywhere. It's just what he's going to bring, just a confidence of knowing you have him there. You know what I mean? And that's what they paid for. They paid for that guy. They paid for okay, every week, no matter what's going on, we got a guy that can go and win a game for us. We could be struggling. Everything can be going wrong. If we need 40, he can get us 40. If it's a tight game, he can get us that touchdown or that play. I've seen the Texans getting their butts kicked. The next thing you know, he run them right back. You know what I mean? I think that's what you're paying these big name quarterbacks for. And again, having a system that's actually a good system is only gonna elevate them.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, and I think that's the reason why I've never worried about the football part of this. The life part of it, yeah, they feel like the league needs to get that right, and that's why I can't. I just need to see what the suspension is, and again, if it's less than 8 games, the league's kind of like the joke that I think it is. Honestly, if they're very unserious when it comes to serious matters, very, very unserious. I think is the most mature way I could say that. But like you said, as far as football goes, man, you want to talk about an easy scheme to kind of work your way back in with. Again, Amari Cooper is you get Amari Cooper. Get Amari Cooper. That system, Nick Chubb, life could be far worse football wise for him. And then what you're gonna ask him a couple times instead of it's before for Houston, he'd have to wear the cape to the locker room, and then onto the field. Now hey, could someone go grab it for me? He might not need to pull it out too many times. Honestly, if they perform how they're supposed to perform, this is the team. If they get a double-digit lead with that defense, they should be able to keep it. Right. So I think that's where I'm at with it. I think that might be it for today. Appreciate the topics, Justice. Sid, appreciate you as always. Just remind anybody else, man, y'all tune in. Don't be shy. Be like Sid. Hit up the comment section. Join the conversation. Be a part of the conversation. If he's suspended for the year, the Browns going to miss that window with Chubb, Hunt, and that O-line. I think the thing is, even if he's suspended for the year, honestly, you bet on the fact that you have a talent that you didn't have that was superior to what you had before, and you just get through the year, honestly. As much as it sucks to say, you just get through the year and know that if you get to the other side of the year, again, sticking with football only, your job, and that's why his contract was structured that way. In case he's not here, is he going to be worth less when you get him next year? No.
You lose a year with that young talent. I think that's the only a negative. But again, they have so much young talent. And I think they'll figure out early if Chubb's carries need to get cut. I'm not saying you want to what's the word? When the NBA when they lose on purpose. I say
tank. You don't need a tank. You're too good to do that.
There's a point when you realize, week 10, week 11, where you're like, okay, this ain't going nowhere. And again, with all the backs they have, they got Chubb, they got Hunt, they got the other backs that had a big game last year. So it's not like they're going to be going, giving them 25, 30 carries a game. So I think that team, and again, the offensive lineman usually can hang around a while. That's just a well-built team, except for now you throw that quarterback in there. That's what leads to the excitement. This was going to probably be a year of you're hoping that everything clicked. But a year of everyone fitting together, and by the end of the season, you hope they get it all to get everything going. So, worst case scenario, you push it back a year.
Yeah, and again, with a team like this, say you said he was spent for the whole year. This would have just been your last year with Baker, anyways. If you knew, if I could tell you, no matter what, you get Deshaun Watson next year, are you gonna care? I don't know how much you are. Like you almost can't tank because your talent won't let you tank. So it's just a matter of you won't be able to get. It's the cap on how much of a contender you could be in my eyes. Like they're just too good to be last in the division, even with Jacoby. Like, bro, that defense, Nick Chubb, Coop, Njoku, like you can make the playoffs with Jacoby. There's a world where that can happen. There's also a world where you have so much talent. Who's to say you don't go find another quarterback in case you need to midway through the year to do whatever you need to do. I mean, I think they're fine with Jacoby, but I don't like again QB friendly system. We've seen what that system's done for quarterbacks that aren't upper echelon quarterbacks talent wise. You just gotta not lose game. You just have to not get in the way with the roster that is that loaded. Just don't do too much. Don't try to be a superhero if you're not. If it's 3-0, guess what? Punt the ball. Don't do anything crazy. Try again next series. Who knows? Your defense might get 6.
Right.
You just don't try to be a hero, I guess. But yeah, I think it would take massive injuries like Baltimore for them to tank. Like,
right. I mean, you want to see the development of some of those young talent on defense. You want, JOK. You want Green Williams to step up. You just paid Denzel Ward. So I think, like Sid was saying, I think you get your Denzel Ward another year. You got your Myles Garrett another year. But you just paid Clowney for a year, and basically, if it doesn't work out, you're giving it away. Now you got to figure out what to do again next year. So I mean, I think that's a negative, and that's the thing where it's like the team that's built for now and built for the future, which not many teams are. I think that's one of the things that they've actually done really well.
Yeah, and again, not to be rude, but if you didn't do what you did several years ago, you wouldn't be in this situation anyways. So technically, you already done wasted time. So to me, it's just like, again, what's another year? Like, no one told you to do what you did 4 years ago or 5 years ago, whatever it was when that selection was made. You know, if you do something different, maybe you're not here. Maybe you're not even in this situation right now. But you did what you did over here. So I mean, again, like, you wouldn't. Worst case scenario, you're going into next year knowing you have a top quarterback in the league. Life could be far worse regardless of what happens this year.
Yeah, you're right on that. Only thing is you just hate giving away a year. That's the part for me. Is just like, because you don't know. You never know. You come back next season, Chubb gets hurt. And just dumb things that can happen in football. But this is the best they've been roster wise, maybe since I don't even know. Since when Belichick was there, So try it out,
And again, but like you said, say God forbid next year, Chubb does get hurt or something like that, right? At least you'd be in a position where you have enough talent under center that you could make up for it. You could not say the same if he had gotten hurt any point prior to, next year. You'd be like, boy, what do we do? Can't hide this clown. Like, what do we do? We can't just, get a lead. They're going to force us to throw it now. Oh, no. Like, what do you do? So, I mean, at least, again, and I agree with you guys. It would suck to lose a year or half a year, whatever, from a football standpoint. However, it better be at least half a year. And I don't think that it will. But, again, another story, another day. Like worst case scenario, like they're still one of the best teams in the league, roster wise. You're still, when people talk about rosters, you're at the top of that conversation, and that's without the quarterback. That's without the quarterback. You throwing the quarterback, now we're talking top 2, top 3, because you got one of those guys. So that's kind of where I'm at with it, but we're all waiting to see what actually happens, because again, league is very unserious about serious things, and they've showed that to us time and time again. What were you? Okay, he said I'm just having flashbacks from 2017. Steelers was 2019. Don't mind me. It's gonna be okay, Sid. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be a wreck. Appreciate y'all for tuning in today, man. We'll see y'all tomorrow about the same time. Y'all know it'll be between 9:30 and 10 a.m. right here for Mornings with the Focus. For Justin and myself, y'all have a great day.